There is a collection of systems unknown to most species. It is in a galaxy far, far away, in a time long ago. It is the high ground between light and dark, between good blasters and hokey religions, and it lies between the sunken pit of Carcoon and the summit of Hoth's frozen peaks. This is the dimension of friendly gaming. It is a place we call the Outer Rim. Hello everyone and welcome to the Outer Rim. My name is Todd and I'm going to bring you a commentary today of the Gamers Inn monthly Star Wars Destiny tournament. This was recorded back on May 15th. It was a 10-person tournament, and what I love about Star Wars Destiny right now is the total diversity of the meta that we have. There were 10 people who showed up and there were 10 different decks that came. If you looked around the table, there were some really cool pairings and some decks that did really awesome. We saw a Han Leia that was really fun to watch. The Han Leia ended up running the new Millennium Falcon, and so what he would do is he would quick draw or hit and run, and then activate the Falcon for his second action. And then the Falcon allows you to activate another one of your characters. So you'd actually have all of his dice out on the field in his first action. It was so cool. But unfortunately, the deck did have a couple of struggles. Definitely not a meta pairing, Han and Leia, but so much fun and so thematic. I absolutely loved it. What we do have here, though, is the top table in the Swiss round 4. And this is going to be both two undefeated decks that are coming into this final round. And on the left, we have Zach, who is running Elite Hondo, Elite Yoda. And on the right, we had Michael playing Kylo Ren version 2 and Mother Talzin. Kylo Ren and Anakin just won the world championship, so I was not surprised at all to see Kylo Ren in the top table here tonight. Yoda Hondo on the one side going to be having a ton of fun, doing all the special chaining and everything. Yoda Hondo running the Emperor's Throne Room to be able to turn one of his dice to a special, and then resolve it immediately. And then Kylo Ren Talzin on the other side running the Ewok Village, removing all shields from character. Looks like the roll-off was won by Yoda Hondo, and so he ended up picking his battlefield. Definitely more valuable for him than it would be for the Kylo Talzin player. Fast hands on Hondo Onaka. Hondo with fast hands is such a great combo. It reminds me a lot of the Awakening's Han, when he would be able to roll out and get that 2 disrupt and just take away all of your opponent's ability to pay for things. However, Kylo Talzin is running the Sith Holocron package, which means he's not necessarily looking to use those resources on upgrades. He's looking to use those resources for mitigation and other things. Michael on the right is, just to be really quick, it is not Michael Jackson. He is not wearing the glove for that particular reason. So, Kylo Ren activating and guessing a color and ending up hitting that color on the Yoda Hondo. It looks like Yoda Hondo was running the Fortify plot instead of the Stolen Intel. We saw Stolen Intel a lot at the World Championships using Hondo Yoda, but Zach today was using Fortify, which after the initial setup, you give a character a shield. So he had 1 shield on Yoda, thus enabling him to only take 1 damage off of the Kylo Ren activation. So Kylo Talzin, sorry, I'm going to have to get used to not saying Kylo Anakin, but Kylo Talzin being able to focus using odd-numbered cards in the deck. Now, because he is running the Sith Holocron, we are definitely going to see at least 2, from 2 to 6 even-numbered cards in the Kylo Talzin deck. That is going to hamper Talzin's ability occasionally, but not necessarily all the time. As we can see in the beginning of this round, Mother Talzin and Kylo Ren just absolutely going nuts with damage and getting a ton. Zach able to play Overconfidence on the Mother Talzin dice and just go ahead and knock in that damage completely off the table. Talzin still showing a discard, and Kylo showing a 2 melee and a 2-for-1 melee. Not sure if Michael's going to be wanting to just resolve that damage and not be able to pay for the Hondo special, because right now Yoda is showing a double focus. He does it. He goes ahead. He goes ahead and pays for the 4 damage into Yoda. Yoda at half health. Now Yoda is the character that has the least amount of healing ability in the deck. Now, when I say least amount, I mean there are only 4 cards that can heal Yoda in this deck, at least the usual deck that we see. So the usual deck that we see from Hondo Yoda, the way that it works is you're going to be running Force Illusions to mill your deck and save yourself some damage. You're going to be running Lone Operatives and Special Chaining in order to heal damage off of your characters. And then for Hondo, you're going to be running Second Chances to keep him alive. Because while Yoda Hondo can ramp up and do really high damage late game, I have personally noticed that he tends to struggle in the early game if he can't get those if he can't get those upgrades right out. So, all right. So looks like Kylo Talzin able to claim and use the Emperor's Throne Room to, all right, get a special on the Holocron and resolve it. He gets a Force Rend on the field. Force Rend is going to be extremely powerful against that fast hands, being able to just wipe that right off the board. It's going to be interesting to see how Zach responds to that. Whew, so that fast hands may not be on the board for much longer. We get a discard the Entangle to reroll Hondo, discard a Hidden Agenda to reroll Hondo, and he does get the special and he resolves it and ends up getting an extra resource from Kylo for the next round. So I'm not sure if Kylo Talzin runs It Binds All Things. They might not, because they do have the Sith Holocron to be able to cheat out those upgrades. Interesting to remember, the Force Illusion is an ability upgrade, so you actually can put the Force Illusion in over the Sith Holocron with the special. So something to keep in mind if your character is running low and you got a Force Illusion in your hand and a special on that die. So Kylo rolls in and he guesses a color. I think you run a lot of blue in there, so you might guess blue. He got a yellow. Let's see if that's what he guessed. Doesn't look like that's what he guessed. So he did guess blue. So we did see there was a Force Speed and a Force Throw in his hand, and would have been able to get that. He does easy pickings, both of Kylo's dice. There is the Force Rend showing the 1 special, which means it could be very easy to get rid of that fast hands off of Hondo so that you can kind of deal with his dice and not have that non-mitigatable damage. I'm going to get there one day. I've been doing some commentary for the Chance Cube, if you are familiar with them. If you're not, go ahead and look them up. The Chance Cube is a pretty quality establishment. Been doing some commentary for them, and I keep trying to say the word unmitigatable, and I just can't get it right. It's a hard one, okay? Just leave me alone. All right, so Mother Talzin whiffing on her ability for the first time by revealing the Sith Holocron on top of her deck. So, and then we get an unbreakable play using Yoda's shield. So Unbreakable says remove a die showing equal to or less than the number of shields on one of your characters. And so he's able to remove that 2 range damage. And Force Rend. There was a Force Speed that was played on Yoda, and yep, sure enough, Michael goes ahead and removes that Force Speed using the Force Rend ability. That Force Rend has really become an interesting card and die to be able to play in some of these games. And it's got the special. All right, he does keep the fast hands, so he's able to fast hands the 2 disrupt, just like I'd mentioned before, being able to use Han Solo from the Awakening set to get rid of 2 resources at the beginning of the game. It was so damaging, in fact, that a lot of people were calling for a change, and that was just only in the second set of this game. Of course, the second set did introduce a whole lot of things, Force Speed as well. The action cheating was way beyond what anybody could deal with at that point. We had the Ray shenanigans, the overriding, and then with the FN 2199 coming in, it went pretty nuts. Mother Talzin re-rolls and does get the Sith Holocron special, but does not have any resources to be able to roll in like a force power die after he gets that. We get the 2 focus on Yoda, so he could easily focus to both of the specials there. Michael looks like he went ahead and retained a resource. Now, as we saw before, he was flipping his tokens over to the dark side to indicate that he no longer had the resource. And occasionally it's not a bad idea to go ahead and try out that way of doing things. Obviously, you can't do that with the original FFG tokens because they are double-sided. But with some of the specialty tokens that you can get from winning in championships or some of the other ones that you can purchase online, turn out really cool, and you can sometimes do that. Other times, however, it's sometimes it can confuse people when you have tokens that you just flip over to indicate whether or not you have the tokens. And so occasionally it's not a bad idea to ask your opponent if they're okay with that or if they would like you to go ahead and remove them after you use them. And it looks like that may have come up. It may not have. But Michael just doing a really good job of keeping a clean board state, which I think is definitely important. Both of these players really keeping track and keeping their usable tokens and the tokens that they have in play right in front of you, right on the board. No hiding them behind their cards or behind other tokens or their dice. So very good and very clean board states between both of these players. I actually really enjoy the tokens that Michael has on his side. We have some really amazing people in the Destiny community that make such amazing tokens. I witnessed out of these 10 people that came to this particular tournament, there must have been at least 6 or 7 different token types at the game. It was so much fun to be able to see all that happen. So, Kylo Ren activating and hitting his special ability to deal 2 extra damage to Yoda. Yoda sitting there with that force throw is going to be super powerful. I wonder if you don't activate Yoda first just to threaten that force throw, because if he can threaten that force throw into off of Kylo's dice or off of Mother Talzin's dice, if she rolls in, that can be pretty powerful. I also like force throw in the event that you do roll the special, that a lot of times your opponent will spend all kinds of resources to get rid of it, which then allows you to keep all your other dice out on the field. Force throw being very potent, but if it ends up becoming just a mitigation magnet, I don't think that's a bad thing. So we get Mother Talzin rolling in. She gets a focus blank and a +1 on the Sith Holocron. Reveals the top card. We have a Maul Saber coming. Ladies and gentlemen, warning alert, warning alert. There's a Maul Saber coming in on the fly. So he's seriously considering turning Kylo Ren's die to the 2 melee side, and that's not a bad idea, to be completely honest. No, he decides to switch it up. Maybe go for the Mother Talzin 2 side. Yep. All right. So 2 damage either way. This way he does have to take an extra action to resolve, but not necessarily a bad thing. I would never put it past him to have a problem with that. So Yoda rolling out with the force throw. If he hits a special on any of his dice, then he is definitely going to be able to get that force throw special off, and he does. A force throw rolling the 2 disrupt, but we got a Yoda special and a Yoda discard. So now, while discard, I do have to say this too. Discard, a lot of times you don't want to see those on your dice. It's not the most potent, especially when you're trying to do damage to your opponent. However, it can be a wicked good card or a wicked good die side, because your opponent builds their deck to use every card. Every single card in your opponent's deck is there to get to kill, it's to help them win. And so for you to be able to just take that out and oh my gosh, there's some things that have happened here. There's some things that have happened. All right. Well, anyway, back to discard. For you to be able to take a card out of your opponent's hand that they were really hoping for, really needing, is super powerful. Michael just played Unyielding. Unyielding is a card that allows you to resolve any number of your damage dice and treating all of it as unblockable damage. To be honest, I would love to see an unblockable damage from an indirect side. Wouldn't that be so cool? Unblockable indirect damage. That would be absolutely ridiculously cool. I personally think. So Zach, on the other hand, on the left here, didn't quite see what Michael was playing, and so he did ask to look at it and get a little bit closer look. So we got to see a little bit of Zach's head poking in there. Hi, Zach. So Michael playing Unyielding, that is a really powerful card and quite effective. I have seen it played a couple of times before, but it's definitely not a meta card. Although with as much as Force Illusions and shields are prevalent in the metas these days, Unyielding could be extremely, extremely powerful. And definitely turning the Mother Talzin to the 2 range instead of the Kylo to the 2 melee definitely avoided him being easy pickings. And it also kind of lulled Zach into a false sense of security because Unyielding allows you to resolve all of your dice or any number of your dice showing damage, and easily could be all of your dice. And that turns into a really massive turn to be able to just deal that unblockable damage. Yoda back up to 3 shields. We do have another resource. So Hondo getting his special 2 disrupt and a disrupt on the cunning. The disrupt on the cunning can still be extremely powerful. It allows Hondo's special to deal that damage. So we'll kind of see which way he decides to do it. So he does resolve the Hondo special and possibly getting paid to not deal the damage. See, Hondo is one heck of a pirate. If you've ever watched the shows that he's in, he's so much fun to watch. He's in the Clone Wars and in the Rebels TV show. And he's a really fun character. You never know which side he's on. And the mechanics of his die are absolutely perfect. He will threaten you, and he will be the worst character in the world. And then you pay him a little bit of money, and he goes, "Hey, look, you're my best friend now." So that's exactly what happened here. He resolved the Hondo special, and Michael just went ahead and said, "Oh, well, you're going to hurt me? Well, here, have some money." And Hondo said, "Okay, no problem. I will just go ahead and take your resource and move on." I'm sorry, I can't do a Hondo voice. Man, I wish I could. If I could do a Hondo voice and a Yoda voice, that'd be amazing. That's so cool. Anyway, so now we've got 3 disrupt showing on Zach's side. He's probably going to want to discard to re-roll those since Michael does not have any resources. Michael claiming the battlefield in order to use the Force Rend on the fast hands. Discarding a second chance on Hondo, discarding the second chance that would have been for Hondo to re-roll Hondo and the cunning and get a blank on Hondo and the 1 disrupt again on the cunning. Discards the handcrafted light bow. Let's see what he gets this time. All right, gets a resource and a double disrupt on Hondo. See, Hondo's die does have 2 special sides, and to be completely honest, I'm pretty sure that any of the sides for Hondo would be acceptable and very happy to get. See, there's the discard. Yeah, we get the discard and claim another resource. Ooh, he discarded the Witch Magic out of Michael's hand. That's going to prevent some healing. So not a lot of damage done yet on the Kylo Ren Talzin side. And we've got a Yoda with 1 remaining health, but he's got the full shields on him. Should be interesting. I'm not sure if Michael actually runs 2 Unyieldings, or if it's just the 1 is kind of a circumstantial spicy play or not. Kylo rolling in, though, and he's going to be guessing a card again. It's just the relentlessness of that Kylo Ren ability that's just, oh my goodness, just going to kick his rear. So do you still guess blue or do you switch to yellow? He gets the fast hands. He did guess blue, so did not get the ability off. There are quite a bit of blue cards, but it kind of seems 50-50 in Zach's deck in particular, because we're seeing things like Impulsive, we're seeing Lipos, Second Chances. Let's see what else we got. We got the fast hands, the cunnings. And then on the other side, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber. We've got handcrafted light bows. And we got another force throw for Yoda. So as much fun as it would be to be able to get that force throw on Yoda, I think we might be seeing him play the light bow on Hondo. Yep, right on. So light bow on Hondo is just going to significantly increase the damage output of that deck. Light bow and cunning both being able to do the light bow special to remove shields and deal 3 damage to a character. The force rend is actually not going to be able to do too much. If he could get the force rend special, he could force rend the cunning for 2 resources, but it seems like the Kylo Ren Mother Talzin deck is struggling a little bit for resources, but I think that's on purpose. I think he's purposely trying to hold his resources back in order to keep everything from going all pear-shaped on him. Yep. To be able to pay off Hondo special, sorry. So he does resolve the 4 melee into Yoda and taking Yoda out of the game. So Yoda and his force throw are gone. Hondo can easily pull this out, though. Yoda did provide the consistency, but Hondo is definitely the big bad of the deck in a lot of ways. Alrighty, so losing that Yoda was definitely a big deal, though, because he did lose the force throw. That's a lot of resources to have to let go of. Mother Talzin rolling in. So the force rend, not really a huge issue. Unless, of course, Mother Talzin, force rend does have 2 range sides. 2 range damage side, a base 2 and a plus 2. So, yep, sure enough, he's going to be turning the force rend to the 2 range damage side. Then he's got a Mother Talzin showing a 1 focus and a 1 range, and then a blank on the holocron. But yeah, so keeping out of easy pickings territory by not turning or not getting those 2 range sides on a couple of his dice. Of course, if we kind of peek into Zach's hand, we can see that he doesn't have the easy pickings, but Michael doesn't know that. He knows that 1 has been played already, but that second one could be coming up anytime. So purposely manipulating your dice so that they do not show the same symbol is extremely smart play when your opponent still has a possibility of easy pickings and still has the resource showing. Hondo getting some discard sides on him, as well as a focus on one of the Hondo dice. Definitely could be really good. We did see one of those second chances get discarded, and so we know that Hondo only has 1 second chance left in the deck. Not sure if he runs any recursion. One card that I definitely suggest that you look into playing, if you are going to play a hero with a discard side on them, is the card Rebel. Rebel allows you to play a card from your discard pile, decreasing its cost by 1. However, playing that card is dependent on you showing a discard side on one of your dice, as well as costing a single resource. So while it does allow you to play a card decreasing its cost by 1, that sounds good, but you are paying 1 for the card initially. So essentially there is no discount there, but there is definitely a bonus there for being able to pull things back from your graveyard and place them on your characters. So recurring the second chance is a possibility with as many discard sides as there apparently are. It looks like Hondo has discard on all of his die, on both of his dice, 1 side. Cunning has a discard, and Handcrafted Lightbow has a discard. So I think Rebel would be an excellent inclusion in Zach's deck, or in any Yoda Hondo deck. I personally am running Rebel in a Han Solo Lando Calrissian deck because, sure enough, there are discard sides all across those dice, so it turns out pretty good. I am running Lone Operative, which also has a discard side. Holy cow. Hondo, if he got that Lone Operative out, would also have another discard side to be able to play, so it could be pretty good. So it looks like we resolved a Cunning special as a Handcrafted Lightbow to throw some damage into Kylo Ren. So we get a chance cube on Mother Talzin. It's a good die, 3 blanks, a 1, a 2, and a 3 resource side. It does cost you 1 resource every time you play it or roll it into your field when you activate your character, but to be able to gain, with Mother Talzin's ability, possible guaranteed net of 2 resources a round is, I think, a really good deal. Basically, doubling your resources for the round would be extremely potent. So Kylo, Towson still sitting on their resources. Hopefully, I'm guessing to pay Hondo in case his special gets rolled, which it does. So while that special is pretty powerful, looks like Kylo Towson is probably just going to be paying Hondo, paying him some money to keep him as a friend. Oh goodness, the Holocron special was, I think, claimed into, and Michael was able to play a Force Wave on Mother Talzin. Now, Force Wave is an interesting choice because Zach is down to 1 character. So that Force Wave, while it is going to do 3 damage to Hondo, it's also going to do 3 damage spread out to a 2 and a 1 on Kylo and Mother Talzin, and no shields on the characters. So while it can be a great finishing move, especially with as much health as he have left, he may just be counting on that to be able to just roll in and get some really good, just some solid damage and just take out Hondo before he can do too much. So Kylo rolling in, and once again still calling blue, because there are quite a few blue cards. As we can see, Zach's hand had 2 blue cards in it, and unfortunately, Michael just not getting lucky on that one and picking one of the 3 yellow cards. So we do see an overconfidence. However, now I will say that this was a little bit of a misplay, because overconfidence is spot a blue character. And so while that was an illegal play, and that definitely should have been called. As the TO in this particular game, I probably should have been watching a little bit closer. However, I was still watching the other 4 games going on as well, and there were quite a few questions in this particular set of games, which was quite a bit of fun. We had an interesting situation that arose for a Palpatine versus, I actually believe it was this Kylo Talzin player. And what ended up happening is Michael wanted to play It Will All Be Mine, which turns any of your opponent's Blake sides to the side of your choice, and then allows you to resolve them as if it was yours. 3, 2, 1. And so his question was, if Palpatine's die is on a blank and he plays It Will All Be Mine, does he get the splash damage from Palpatine's die? And it turns out he actually does not, because the ability is not inherent to the die, it is inherent to the character. And because the character is not yours, just the die is, that meant that Michael was able to resolve turn the Palpatine blank to a 3 and resolve the 3 into Palpatine, but was not able to do the splash damage, which actually would have ended the game a little bit earlier. I think Michael, obviously he was undefeated, so he ended up still winning that game. And so that was one of the really fun questions that came up during this tournament, which was a lot of fun. So one more time, mistakes happen. This is not like the World Championship. This was just a simple local store tournament. And so mistakes happen, mistakes will be made, and that's okay. The game is meant to be fun and is meant to be enjoyed by everybody. But, just watch your cards. Do the best you can. Once again, we were all here to just have a lot of fun. One of the reasons I like Gamers In for their tournaments is now becoming involved in their actual tournament running and seeing what goes on behind the scenes. The particular store here, Gamers In Lehi, Utah, does not look to make a huge profit on any of the events. As a matter of fact, in a lot of cases, they're making like $1 or $2 or $5 off the entire event. We had quite a bit of price support in this one. We had the tournament kit, which we had for the quarter 1 tournament kit that had the Altar Art holdout blasters and also the cool black and red tokens. And then we also, for the $3 for entering the tournament, you also got one snack in store, any of the drinks or any of the candy bars or snacks which was really awesome. And then at the very end, we also had some alternate art Han Solo and Lando Calrissian cards that I was able to pick up, and we were able to give those out to some of our players randomly as well. So that was really cool, and we're having a huge clamoring for people that want to come back and try to win some more of those Han Solo and Lando alt arts. They're really awesome, actually. They're based off of the art from the new Solo movie, so it's got the new characters that play them, which is so much fun. Anyway, as we move forward in this round, Hondo being able to do some pretty wicked things. The cunning, I think, was used, but then I think we may have seen a witch magic happen there. State of the game, Hondo now at 4 damage, and Kylo still only at 5 damage on him total. So this game is definitely swinging towards Michael's favor with the Kylo Talzin. Just Mother Talzin's ability to just fix the dice all day long is just so powerful. And a lot of times it's really hard to pick which character that you want to go for first as Zach is the Yoda Hondo player, because Kylo Ren gets to roll in and possibly do 2 damage just by rolling in and guessing the color of a card in your hand. But Mother Talzin does have the focusing abilities to basically guarantee a particular side that you want. There's our second easy pickings. So getting rid of the Kylo dice again, even though they are just showing the 1 damage side, that could have easily changed. And just to be able to get Kylo's dice off the field, I mean, that's damage. Damage is damage. And if you can prevent any of that, you're going to be in good shape. So luckily, the chance cube ending up rolling 2 resources, so he gets back the 1 that he paid for, and then gets the 1 extra from resolving the die for the 2. So a net gain of 1 resource is not bad at all. And for an upgrade that can actually be pulled back to your hand if you don't want to pay for it, and then used as a discard, that definitely becomes a powerful card. So we see the Force Illusion on Hondo is going to help absorb some of that damage. Hondo still absolutely in this game. He may just be stealing resources from Kylo Talzin for the rest of the game, because Kylo Talzin definitely has an excellent upgrade suite set up to be able to continue through the game and to rock it pretty good. And so he's good. So Hondo's really going to be relying on his cunning and his handcrafted light bow to pull him through. So we roll the Mother Talzin, get another resource. We did get the claim ability on one of Zach's dice to be able to do a little bit extra damage to Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren now showing 5 resources. If he's got to rise again in this next hand, it's going to be I would not hesitate to pretty much call the game over at that point. All right, so Hondo's going to get rolled in. He really doesn't want to overwrite any of his upgrades. It absolutely would be good if that cunning gets a special, to be able to focus that special or to claim the battlefield and use the special on the Force Wave. All right, so we had a little bit of a jump there. Sorry, just some technical difficulties. We get Kylo Ren's activation. He calls a color. It looks like he is sticking with calling blue. So I think it's pretty smart for Zach to be holding on to a lot of those yellow cards. He does get another Obi-Wan's lightsaber, which he cannot play on Hondo, so he goes ahead and discards that to re-roll his dice. And let's get rolled out here. All right, so we get the light bow special, and we get a cunning on a resource and a couple of blanks on Hondo. Oh no, and the feel your anger play. Having to remove the cunning and light bow specials definitely does not feel great in this particular matchup. Now, for those of you who are keeping track on time, we are getting really close to the time limit here, but we still have a couple of minutes as far as I know. So you'll actually see these players, both of them wanting to kind of extend the game as much as possible, trying to get through it. Kylo Talzin seeing if he can just knock it out of the park. But unfortunately for him, Hondo pulls the hyperspace jump after losing 2 of his dice from the Feel Your Anger and taking basically no damage that round, just resetting the round. Hondo, just that hyperspace jump. What an awesome card. It's just nice. It's a good, nice emergency ripcord to say, hey, look, I got to get out of here. This is not going well for me. I've lost pretty much all my damage dice, and I got to take care of that. So now when you hyperspace jump, you do not have to switch the battlefield, but you can if you want. One of the interesting things about that, though, is that the battlefield will stay on the person who had it in the previous round. So the battlefield does not move no matter who played the hyperspace jump. If the battlefield had been on Michael's side, then Michael would have kept it. Oh, we roll out, and oh no, is there another Feel Your Anger? I sure hope not. So I believe at this point time was called, and so this is going to be the last round. Luckily for Zach, he was able to hyperspace jump right before time was called, so they did reset for the new round, and we'll finish this round before ending the game. Kylo activates, decides to pull a card. He does hit blue, but did he guess blue? He switched to yellow. Oh, Michael, I'm so sorry. That happens so many times. It's so much fun to see somebody trying and missing like that. It makes us all feel like, hey, you know what? Even if we're some of the best players, and both of these gentlemen are some of the best players in our Destiny scene, and for them to be having the same problems that we do is just makes some of us feel so good. So now we get a Force Illusion on Kylo Ren, so he's going to be able to absorb some damage by pulling some cards off. So a couple of Force Illusions on the characters out here. Yeah, things are definitely looking down on Zach, but I'm definitely not going to call it out. I'm definitely not calling him out on that. So we do the Light Bow special, which would do 3 damage. Michael deciding to, take the Force Illusion, and he loses the It Will All Be Mine, Overconfidence, and Maul's Saber. So we're not going to see Maul's Saber get played today. We did not see that earlier either. I thought he ended up having it in his hand, but he may have discarded it. Maul's Saber being a quite expensive card, but also its power action being errated to cost a resource to get it back in. Oh my goodness. Mother Talzin rolling some wicked good damage. We get a 2 indirect on the Force Wave. We get the 3 resources on the Chance Cube, which he did pay for. 2 range on Mother Talzin and a discard on Mother Talzin. And Kylo Ren showing just a Disrupt, a blank, and then a Force Ren special. So Zach on the left here is really trying to decide what to do. He decides to pay 2 to entangle a couple of Michael's dice. He was about to do the Force Wave, but decided to remove Mother Talzin's 2 range instead. Kind of a wash in a lot of ways. Mother Talzin's die, the 2 was the maximum he could do. The Force Wave special possibly being able to roll into a 3 damage side. It could be potential game ender there. Kylo Ren re-rolling, hitting the Disrupt again. We're going to Hidden Agenda, the Force Wave special, which turns into a 1 resource. Hidden Motive, re-rolling a die and calling one of its side, and then removing it if it landed on that side. Very, very good, very powerful die. We've got the Force Illusion on Hondo. The Force Illusion on Kylo Ren is gone. Kylo Ren, 8 damage on him, 6 damage on Hondo. So because the round is going to be going to time, we do need to count up some damage and see who's ahead. So right now, damage dealt to Yoda Hondo is at 16. Damage dealt to Kylo Talzin is at 8. So not going quite the way they had planned. So at this point, a lot of the other games had already finished. I was able to come over and start watching the game. And we get another discarded Force Illusion on Hondo. So Hondo is really looking to maximize his damage in this round. So we get the Force Rend to get rid of the Force Illusion. Hondo resolves a special, and Michael pays it. Okay, so actually I can remember now. This is exactly when I came in. So we resolved the 2 damage, and sure enough, that one resource that Michael gave to Zach allowed him to play the second chance onto Hondo. It's kind of funny, though. After 4 rounds of this, and this round going to time, we're looking at a couple hours straight of Destiny. We did not take any breaks between rounds. As a matter of fact, when all the rounds would end early, we would just jump into the next round. So this is basically 2 straight hours of Destiny. And at one point, Zach forgot that he had actually played the second chance, and he was looking around going, "Oh, dang it, I've lost." And then went, "Oh, wait, no, I have a second chance." So Michael kind of looking through his dice and seeing that Kylo Ren disrupt and going, "Oh man, if I would have resolved the disrupt instead of doing the damage, I would have been able to stop you from second chancing and just could have wiped you off and ended the game." So now this is the part that got a little bit tricky. Zach claims the battlefield to use the Cunning special on the Force Wave. Now, if any of you have watched some of the Chance Cube videos, I don't know if they're up yet, but on one of them we had a very similar situation happen. Or at least it reminded me of, and I told this story before. But in this game, so what they say is Cunning says to resolve a special ability on another card in play as if it were your card. So the question is, does he have to pay for the resource cost of the Force Wave special that's showing on its die? And as a matter of fact, you don't. And the reason is because Cunning is proxying the special off of the card, not off of the die. And the die is what actually shows the resource cost. So I had ruled that way, but we did want to get a second opinion. There was another really great player there named Rob, and he came over and he agreed that because it was proxying off the card and not off the die, that you did not have to pay the resource cost. The way that it was decided as well, when I came home and was able to research it a little bit more, if they had wanted the Cunning special to pay the resource on the Force Wave, the special would have actually said pay a resource to do 3 damage to one character, 2 damage to another, and 1 to a third character. But instead of putting it in the text of the card, they decided to put the cost on the die. So it interacts with cards like Rebel War Room Battlefield that allows you to resolve a die showing a resource cost and you don't have to pay it. So there are a bunch of other cards that allow you to remove dice showing a resource cost, or there are a lot of cards that interact with dice showing a resource cost on the die. And so because of the design decision to put it on the die, the Cunning works off of the Force Wave. Now, so here comes the really fun part. I'm going to go ahead and explain the last round of this. So Michael was trying to decide whether or not to resolve the Force Wave special on Hondo. Now, if he had resolved the Force Wave special on Hondo, it would have triggered the second chance, and Hondo would have healed up to 5 health left, 5 health remaining. So it would have been at 15 health, 15 damage done to the Yoda Hondo. And if you count on the Kylo Talzin side, so Kylo right now has 11 on him, Mother Talzin has 2. So he would have dealt 3 to Hondo, and then 3 to his characters as well. Do you see where I'm going with this? So if he had dealt 3 to Hondo, it would have put the damage dealt on the Yoda Hondo side at 15 and 16 damage done on Michael's side, on the Kylo Talzin side. So if he had resolved that Force Wave special, he would have lost the game. So keeping track of what's going on, and when it comes down to that last round, Michael made the very smart decision. Since Zach had claimed the battlefield to turn the Cunnings to the special and do the Force Wave damage, Michael, just by passing, wins the game. But he had to really sit there and count it. And so while I was explaining the ruling on that Force Wave and Cunning, Michael was trying to decide that. Michael counting it up, doing the calculations once, doing the calculations twice, realizing that he has already won the game because we are at time and this is the last round, realizing that if he just passes, he wins. Zach, what an excellent game played. Michael, what an excellent game played. Look forward to seeing these players and many other players in our future videos for the top table at the Gamers Inn monthly Star Wars Destiny tournament. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you guys next time on Outer Rim Gaming.